Moments ago, the United States announced it will withdraw nearly 12,000 troops from Germany. Defense Secretary Mark Esper announced the move as part of a redeployment of forces in Europe that he says will strengthen NATO. President Donald Trump previously said he intended to take troops out of Germany, accusing the German government of being, quote, delinquent in defense spending. Here's Defense Secretary Mark Esper speaking earlier.
The current EUCOM plan will reposition approximately 11,900 military personnel from Germany, from roughly 36,000 down to 24,000, in a manner that will strengthen NATO, enhance the deterrence of Russia, and meet the other principles I set forth. Of the 11,900, nearly 5,600 service members will be repositioned within NATO countries, and approximately 6,400 will return to the United States, though many of these or similar units will begin conducting rotational deployments back to Europe.
Defense Secretary Esper speaking there earlier. Let's take you now to Simon Young. He is standing right outside the U.S. Embassy here in Berlin. First of all, have there been any official reactions to this decision?
Well, Layla, there's been plenty of critical reaction to this decision. For instance, Norbert Röttgen, the defense expert from Angela Merkel's party, was saying really this goes against the US own strategic interests because Germany is important for the US military as a logistical hub for its international operations. It's not about defending Germany, he said. And there's been other response previously, really in advance of this official announcement. For instance, the state premiers from the affected parts, particularly of Western Germany, appealing on members of Congress in the United States to block this decision by the Trump administration. So quite a bit of pushback from Germany so far.
Obviously, this did not come as a surprise. People were expecting this. But still, how big of a blow is this for Germany?
Well, I think this is a move that really challenges the very heart of the defence relationship between Germany and the United States. There have been tens of thousands of US troops stationed in Western Germany since the Second World War. And, of course, many Germans have looked very positively at them. They've seen US presence as a sort of shield against threats from the East, from the former Soviet Union, and in today's uncertain world, many of them would like that relationship to stay. Of course, there is an economic aspect for the regions which have tens of thousands of people employed, directly or indirectly, by the US military garrisons. And so I think it's something that really upsets the traditional relationship. As to whether it really makes NATO stronger or reassures allies, which is what the Pentagon is saying today, well, I think a lot of people here in Germany will have their doubts. And, of course, in a new world order with a threatening Russia, as many see it, a strong US military presence in Germany would be welcomed here, I think.
All right, Simon Young reporting from outside the U.S. Embassy here in Berlin. Thank you for your reporting. I want to take us now to the U.S. to get a perspective from there. I'm joined now by retired U.S. General Ben Hodges. He has served for 3 years as commander of what's called United States Army Europe. He's currently the Pershing Chair in Strategic Studies at the Center for European Policy Analysis. Sir, thank you for being with us. I want to get your reaction straight off the bat because you have been quoted as saying that this move is a gift to the Kremlin. Do you stand by that assessment?
Yeah, I do. To get a 30% reduction of U.S. capability that's in Germany, and half of that going back to the States, the Kremlin did nothing to change its behavior, to reduce its aggression. It still occupies Crimea. It's still killing Ukrainian soldiers every week. It still occupies part of Georgia. It still supports the Assad regime in Syria. It's done nothing to change its behavior, and yet it gets a gift of a significant U.S. reduction in Germany. And maybe even more importantly, the damage to the German and American relationship. The most important ally that the United States has in Europe is Germany. And the way this whole thing was done, I think damages that relationship. And that is a gift to the Kremlin.
This is, of course, a sign that bilateral relations are at a low point, to say the least. Now, as you know, U.S. President Donald Trump obviously was taking aim at Germany again. Moments ago, he said at the White House lawn that we spent a lot of money on Germany. They have been taking advantage of us. This is a very big issue for the president. Does it enjoy widespread support?
Well, I think, look, every president, including President Obama, has been critical of German investment in its own defense. And I think most American voters have a hard time understanding why the most prosperous country in Europe, which has benefited from the protection of NATO more than any other country, doesn't do more in terms of defense spending.
But sir, if I may interrupt you there, please forgive me, but defense spending has been increased by Germany, but somehow that is not appeasing to President Trump. I mean, they have increased their spending.
No, sure they have, but it's still 1.3% and what every country agreed to, including Germany, was to achieve 2% of its general defense gross domestic product with defense spending. And so still, Germany can and should do more. But set that aside, what we have in Germany is not there to protect Germany. It's there for our benefit, ours, the United States, as well as for the alliance. So logistics, headquarters, and it's actually a very small number. I mean, 34,000 Army and Air Force, that's not even half of the stadium where Bayern Munich plays football. So we're not talking about a lot of people that are there now. And ironically, the move, some of the moves that were outlined today by Secretary Esper actually are moving capability to Belgium and Italy. And Belgium and Italy are neither of them are anywhere close to 2% themselves. So there's an inconsistency in what the president is saying and what the department is doing. So I think it is fair to
go ahead.
I think we need to what we saw today. What you saw was Defense Secretary Sakur and the Vice Chairman of the Joint Chiefs doing their best to take a wrong-headed strategic decision by the White House, and they were doing their best to minimize the damage to NATO, to deterrence, to relationships, to retain his, and frankly, you heard them talk about this is going to take years to do, which I think they were doing their best to take a legal order to make it work. And so that's what we saw today, and that's what...
Right. So if I understand you correctly, was this largely symbolic?
No, I would not say it was symbolic. I'm saying that they took a decision that was wrong at its core by the White House, and they have no choice. I mean, you can imagine the arguments and the discussions and disagreements that would have been going on back in Washington, inside the Pentagon, and with the White House. But at the end of the day, the president says, we're going to do this. And so the Department of Defense says, okay, well, here's how we're going to do it then. And so what you saw today was the concept. General Hyten used the word, this is a concept. Now we have to develop the plans. That's why there's so many unknowns about budgets. That's why there are so many unknowns about where will the troops go. But I do imagine you will see in the next few weeks some very small initial steps to show movement. That would be symbolic. I don't know how this will play out. The Congress has an important role, obviously. They provide the authorization and the appropriations to actually carry out these changes. I hope that some of these things can be undone. But, you know, Germany has a role, too. A relationship has two parts. And Germany, I think we need to think, what is Germany's role within NATO now? What is the centrality of Germany in European security if the U.S. plans to move so much out? How does Germany see its own strategic role? This is a debate that is long overdue in Germany, how Germans view their strategic role.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion happening on that topic in the days coming. Thank you so very much, U.S. General Ben Hodges, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.